After Spider-Man is shot and goes to the doctor to check if everything was okay, Peter is shocked to discover that he was actually dying. And now that Spider-Man realizes his powers were also starting to fail, since he couldn't even stick to walls anymore, his friends begin to get worried about him. Peter is sent to the greatest geniuses on the planet for tests. As soon as Mr. Fantastic discovers that Spider-Man was dying because of the radiation from his own powers, the Avengers seek out the Hulk to consult his opinion due to his experience with radioactivity. However, when even Banner didn't know exactly what to do about Peter's illness, Bruce suggests that Spider-Man go to Wakanda to check the medicine there. As soon as Peter arrives in Africa and meets Black Panther, the two go to T'Challa's lab, and he tells Peter that he would get his results in a few days. Some time passes, and while Peter takes advantage of the stay to get some braids, Black Panther finally appears with the results, and unfortunately says he couldn't help him either. But now that Spider-Man was sure science couldn't help, Peter tries his last resort and turns to magic, going straight to Doctor Strange. Stephen begins to analyze Peter's illness, and as soon as he discovers that the cause was actually supernatural, Strange concludes there is nothing to be done, and consoles Peter, saying he had a good life and to prepare for death. Now that Spider-Man was trying to process that he was going to die, Morlun suddenly appears and starts beating Peter, leaving him on the brink of death even without the illness. However, because he also wanted to consume Peter's soul, Morlun chooses to leave him alive and waits for Spider-Man to eventually be taken to the hospital. Some time passes, and as soon as Mary Jane finds out Peter was in critical condition, she rushes to his hospital room, only to see that Morlun was already there, about to consume him. Mary Jane jumps on Morlun, telling him to leave Peter alone, but as he throws her against the wall, he quickly breaks her arm. Peter mysteriously wakes up possessed and immediately lunges at Morlun, pinning him to the floor with his fangs and simply killing him in a horrific way, only to come back to himself shortly after and die in Mary Jane's arms. However, after Peter's body is taken to the Avengers Tower and Mary Jane goes there later to see him, MJ ends up in shock, seeing that all that was there was actually just Peter's empty, abandoned husk. It is then revealed that this wasn't the real Peter and that the original was hidden in a web cocoon under a New York bridge. We then see Peter's soul in another realm communicating with a giant spider called the Other, which basically offers him a deal to bring him back to life, saying that for this, he would need to embrace the mystical side of his powers and abandon his more human side, like his artificial web shooters. Peter begins to think about the spider's offer, and as soon as he finally decides to accept, his body immediately emerges from the cocoon, and Peter is reborn as a new person. He returns to Mary Jane and Aunt May to let them know he is alive, and then goes to Mr. Fantastic for more tests, confirming he was completely cured. As Spider-Man returns to his normal routine, Peter realizes that besides being well, he now also had new powers, as he could release stingers from his wrists and also learn to produce organic webbing, fully embracing his spider side.